All right, welcome. It's time to start. I'd like to welcome everyone here tonight. My name is Dr. Doug Kelley, of course. It's good to have you here, whether in the live audience or in the broadcast audience. We appreciate the time that you've taken to join us tonight, and hopefully you'll learn a thing or two, or we may learn a thing or two, or both. Could be either one. The Spirit of Life service, which this is an educational service and program of the International Church of Metaphysical Humanism. Our mission is to explore and empower the human spirit as well as to explore science and spirituality. In addition to this weekly program, we also have other educational programs in place. One is empoweredrecovery.com for the friends and family of alcoholics or addicts. Paranexus.org, which is an association of anomalous researchers. We have metaphysicsinstitute.org, which is our premier school for bachelor's, master's, and doctoral degrees in metaphysics. And we have ICHS World, which is where you can take standalone courses in metaphysics. Tonight's program, in a few minutes, I'm going to be talking about finding meaning and purpose in your life. And there's some interesting points that will come out of this. And then following me, Dr. Vicki Hunter will be talking on practical numerology. And then, of course, we'll follow that up with the Enspirit open forum where we will do a meditation to get started, and then oracle card readings from our own inner oracle card deck. So that's what's going on for tonight. The next thing I would like to do is read an abbreviated list of our 9 principles of belief. The complete list is available on metaphysicalhumanism.org. But here's the abbreviated list. Our principles of belief are: number 1, do no harm, do right. Number 2, we believe in the indomitable power of the human spirit. The answers we seek already exist within us. Number 3, we believe that we alone are responsible for and capable of solving human social problems. Number 4, we are all equal: one planet, one race, one ancestry, one destiny. Number 5, we recognize and honor the divine energy that exists in all living things. Number 6, we are physical and spiritual beings. Consciousness survives death of the physical body. Number 7, self-acceptance, self-responsibility, and respect for free will creates self-completeness. Number 8, metaphysical education and practical life skills empower the human spirit and enhance the human condition. And number 9, expanding human consciousness leads to human evolution and peaceful coexistence. So again, if you'd like to read the entire principles of belief, they're not that much longer, but the complete ones are at metaphysicalhumanism.org. I took the liberty of drawing one random card for tonight's program to serve as the theme, and kind of ties in with the last principle of belief. It's card number 18, which is evolution. So think about that. It actually fits pretty well with my topic tonight, which is finding meaning and purpose in your life. And so we'll segue right into that, because for a lot of folks, they are not all that familiar with what they want to be when they grow up, so to speak. So there's a good amount of evolution that has to take place in order to figure that out. So let's talk about your meaning and purpose. You know, human beings have long searched to find the purpose of life, right? What's the purpose of life? This is probably not the best question to ask. What's the purpose of life? What's the meaning of life? A better question to ask is, what's the meaning of my life? What's the purpose of my life? Because no two meanings or no two purposes are exactly the same. And there is a little difference between meaning and purpose, which I'll get to in a moment. We can find the meaning in our life. And once we find the meaning in our life, we can find the purpose, which again is tied in. Viktor Frankl, you may know the name, in his book, Man's Search for Meaning, listed 3 things that add meaning to one's life. First thing is by creating a work or a deed. Think about that for a minute. It's one way to bring meaning into your life, by creating a work or a deed. 2, by experiencing something or encountering someone. Experiencing someone or something or encountering someone. And 3, the attitude we take toward unavoidable suffering. Now, Viktor Frankl was in Auschwitz concentration camp. He lost his wife, he lost his daughter, he lost his manuscript for his school of psychology, which is called logotherapy, which is a meaning-based therapy. And he really added to the knowledge base with his work. So if you want to read more about him, read his book, Man's Search for Meaning. You can get it in any bookstore on Amazon or Barnes & Noble, wherever. You can find it. It's been around a long time, and it's a good book to read at least once. I couldn't read it twice because I just don't like the suffering, but there's a lot more to it than just his experiences at Auschwitz. Many people have found trying to figure out what their purpose is a long and arduous task. It can be very difficult at times. I like the way that the late comedian George Burns put it. He said, we need to find some reason to get out of bed in the morning. It makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? We need to find some reason just to get out of bed, something that's meaningful. John Homer Miller emphasized this when he wrote, discover what you want most of all in this world and set yourself to work on it. So that's really the basis. What do you want most in this world? What will get you out of bed in the morning? What excites you? What brings you joy? What would you like to do? And I've got some more questions to ask too. Here's a good answer to those questions. The late scientist and author Isaac Asimov really epitomized this, that is the discovery of our special desire or our purpose and meaning. Somebody asked him, what would you do if you only had 6 months to live? And he replied, type faster. So he was committed to what he did, and obviously he wrote a lot of books in the sci-fi genre. And he knew what he wanted out of life. And there's a certain beauty to that, a certain elegance to that, and fulfillment, of course. There are endless variety of vocations and things that we can do. I mean, there is no limit. It's infinite. It depends on the person. Just like there's an infinite number of personalities and tastes, well, there's an infinite number of purposes. And this means that it's a highly personal decision. Whatever your purpose is, whatever the meaning that you get out of life, it's a highly personal thing. And everyone is entitled to that without judgment. So whatever it is, here's an interesting thing, though, about it. If you don't make a choice about the meaning and purpose you find in life, if you don't make a conscious and active choice about it, one will be made for you. It goes with any choices in life. I mean, if we don't want to make an active choice in our life, it's okay. It'll be made for us by other people. Is that what you want? Probably not. So if you don't make a choice will be made for you by default. And that's something to really mull over. It's very true. All right, so let's talk about the difference between the meaning of life and our purpose in life. They are two different things. A lot of times we confuse them, but they're not exactly the same thing. Here's the difference. The meaning in life remains constant, whereas the purpose in life can change. The meaning of our lives is built on our values and beliefs, who we are as a person. The purpose of life involves what we do day to day to pursue those values and beliefs or that meaning in our life. One of my students, Dr. Stephen Foster, when he got to this course, which is actually M1, the first master's course, when he got to it, and he did his assignment, his explanation for the difference is that the purpose in life is our action plan for the meaning of life. And I thought that was very well put. He said, I see the purpose of life as being the action plan for the meaning of life. I couldn't put it better. It's brilliant. So think about that. The meaning of life based on your values, your beliefs, what you want to accomplish. Your purpose is in seeing to that meaning. accomplishing that meaning, getting that meaning out of life. So that purpose in life can change depending on where you're at and exactly how you're going about your meaning in life. The fact remains that it's only when we embrace our heart's desire and combine the meaning of our life with the purpose of our life that we bring true fulfillment to our life. You know, Viktor Frankl also said in his book, Man's Search for Meaning, that the reason people have so much addiction, aggression, and depression in life is because they lack significant meaning in their life. So many folks are on autopilot. So many folks are just living, existing, I should say, day to day, trying to eke out an existence that they've kind of forgotten how to really live. How to go out and look at the sky, or look at, you know, creation, look at the animals, look at the plants, look at life, look at all that there is. I mean, just a few minutes ago, I was looking at the sky outside here. It was beautiful. Clouds were just swirling around. Very, very pretty. And you have to take that moment of now and acknowledge it. You have to find a reason for your being. Not live on autopilot, not go from just moment to moment, day to day, TV show to TV show, but, you know, what do you want to be said about you? I mean, one of those great exercises is to, you know, you write your own obituary. What do you want it to say? What about your tombstone? What do you want it to say? I forget the name of the author, but it's online if you look at it. It's called The Dash. And you know how on tombstones you'll see, you know, a date, right? The dates, the years they lived. You know, it might be 1912-1983. Well, the crux of the article, the little story, and she may have even written a book about it, was what happened in between those two dates in the dash. What is going on in your dash? What do you want it to be said of you? So, last thing about this is that life is way too short and life is way too long to go through it without knowing what you want, or figuring out what you want, figuring out what's going to bring meaning to your life. My dad, when he was alive, used to say that the two saddest words in any language are "if only." If only I had done this, if only I hadn't done that. And you think about it, and it's kind of true. If only I had done this, if only I had done that, not done that. If only I had not worried so much back at that time, or if only I had taken that opportunity that I was too afraid to take. You know, you combine that with you know, when you're on your deathbed and you're looking back over your life, you don't want to have a bad case of the woulda, coulda, shouldas, the if onlys, and the might have beens. And that's what happens a lot. We look back at a previous time. You can do that right now. Go think back to an adversity that you had way back when or whenever. And looking back, you think, wow, you know, it probably wasn't as big as I thought it was at the time. Or I didn't really need to get all that stressed out over it as I did. Because in hindsight, things just don't, they can lose some stress, and it gives us some perspective. So as you go through obstacles in life now, don't make it make out more of it than it should be. Don't make it out to be more than it should be. See it, and don't have a bad case of the if onlys, because that won't get you anywhere. So let's talk about discovering your purpose and meaning in life. You can go a long way to identifying your purpose in life, the meaning that you find in life, by answering a very simple question that can be very difficult to answer. And the question is, what do I call a good day? I'll let that one slowly simmer. What do I call a good day? Now you might be thinking, well, hey, if it was a good day, then, you know, maybe I'm on vacation somewhere. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about day to day to day, routine life. What do you call a good day? Think about that. After this broadcast, after we're done here, think about that and ponder over that, meditate over that. You wake up, what do you do? Where are you? What do you have around you? What do I call a good day? Let's take that question and expand it a little bit. Here's some other questions to answer. What truly inspires me? What motivates me? What excites me about life? What brings me joy? How do I define happiness? That can be different from everyone. How do I define success? Everyone has a different idea of success, right? My definition of success is doing what you should do when you should do it. And if you do that, you'll be successful in whatever it is you're doing. The trick is to know exactly what to do and when to do it. But that's a different book, different story. Here's another question. If money was no object, how would you spend your time? All right, so those are some questions that should help you to zero in on what brings you the most meaning in life. Once you have determined what brings you the most meaning, then you can figure out your purpose. That is, how to accomplish that meaning. If you're still having a hard time, let's put these questions kind of in the negative tense. For example, what do I call a bad day? What does not inspire me? What does not motivate me? What does not excite me about life? What does not bring me joy? How do I define unhappiness? Those at least rule some things out. But you really want to come back to the question, what do I call a good day? And this will entail some extensive thought. You got to get to know yourself really well. And of course that takes time, and we always get to know ourselves better as every day passes. But might take you a little time to come up with the answer. You can also come up with perhaps concepts. You may not know, again, the purpose. The purpose is what you do to fulfill the meaning in your life. So, concepts. Do you like helping other people? Well, if so, there's a myriad ways to help other people. What of those ways brings you the most joy? Some people want to be a spiritual counselor. Some like to be life coaches. Some like to be holistic healers. Some like to help the downtrodden. Some people like to work in shelters, abuse shelters, animal shelters, whatever. Others, there's a zillion ways to help other people. You know, leave the wood pile higher than you found it. I first heard that expression from, I believe it was Paul Harvey. I know it's been around a long time, but I heard him say it. And it's such a good expression. Leave the wood pile higher than you found it. What can you do to be part of that solution rather than the problem? And this is all about raising awareness, isn't it? Raising your own awareness about what you want to do with life. So once you figure out what brings you meaning, the most meaning in your life, then you can figure out how you want to go about doing that. And that's your purpose. You know, I'll give you my own example. The meaning in my life has really not changed much in decades. You know, the thing that brings me meaning is making a positive difference in this world. You know, help people get past the disabling beliefs that hold them back. It's always been what I've been involved with, and I've done that in a variety of ways. I was a minister, Christian minister way back in the day. It's been better than 16 years ago, and that brought a lot of meaning to my life. I did speaking, I did counseling, I did all that stuff, and I was helping people. Well, once I left Christianity, that really opened up my world. So then I spent several years on the road doing seminars around the U.S. and Puerto Rico. And I was able to teach all of these metaphysical principles, even though I didn't put it in those terms, but they are. Everything we teach here is metaphysical because metaphysics is the study of consciousness and existence. So I was teaching assertive communication skills, which I'll be teaching next week here. I was teaching leadership skills. I was teaching how, human nature, how to get along with people, how to deal with difficult people, all those kinds of topics. And I was making a difference because I was teaching and helping people to transition from being a manager into a leader. So that was the purpose of my life back then. And it hasn't changed a lot, but it has changed. The meaning remained constant. So I got off the road. I got more, I kind of turned my sights onto the area of anomalous research. Did a lot of investigations regarding paranormal and ufology and all that. and helped a lot of people to look at things properly, to see things in the right perspective, to not think that they were being haunted when it was just natural occurrences, things like that. I wrote, courses on that to help train other researchers properly. So that was the purpose of my life at that point. 5 years ago, this month, is when I started the International Church of Metaphysical Humanism in April of 2010. And that's when everything came together for me. So I spent all these decades grooming, learning, developing the life leadership paragon, which everything's founded on, doing all this stuff and honing my skills, if you will, learning things, filling in gaps in my knowledge. And it all came together 5 years ago for the International Church of Metaphysical Humanism. Why? I'll tell you why. Because I kept driving by churches on Sunday and they were packed. And it irritated me because people were not being told healthy thinking. They were being told they were sinners. They were being denigrated. They were told that if they didn't do what somebody else thought they should do, they would burn in hell. That's not healthy. And I couldn't figure out why people were so flocking to these places to hear that stuff. Well, I know why. Because of the emotional blackmail. Well, we don't have any emotional blackmail here. We're not going to tell you, you got to do this or do that, or you're going to die, So I finally said, okay, enough is enough. I've got to at least open a church, open something to provide the healthy spiritual philosophy. You're perfect, just the way you are. As long as you're striving to be better tomorrow than you were yesterday, and as long as you do no harm and do right, you're perfect. You're perfect the only way a human being can be perfect. You're not a sinner. We don't do sin. People make mistakes. Hey, that's inherent part of the human condition. We all do that. We all blow it. We all put our foot in our mouth at times. And that's okay, because we learn from that. And so my purpose now, meaning hasn't changed. The purpose now is to do this. I'm doing a weekly video broadcast. Every day I'm grading papers and processing students and answering students' questions and helping them to figure things out. And while at the same time furthering the church and the writings that I'm doing regarding this. But it's all to support one basic meaning: to help people get past the things that hold them back. So now it's your turn. If you're having a hard time figuring out what you want to do with your life, and I don't care if you're 16 or 66. If you're 67, it doesn't apply. I'm just kidding, though. You can laugh at my jokes. All right, doesn't matter. You don't want to get on your deathbed and have a bad case of the woulda, coulda, shoulda, the if onlys and the might have beens. Figure out the meaning that you find in life, what brings you the most meaning, the most joy, and then be about it. Because every one of us has greatness to deliver. We do. We may not think we do, but that's just stinking thinking, as Zig Ziglar would say. That's just ridiculous. And if you think that, it's time to bolster that self-esteem, because you are deserving. Every one of us is entitled to the same good things in life as everyone else, no more, no less. That's just what it is. And when we compare ourselves to others, that's our folly. That's when we're going to really get discouraged. Don't do that. You are not others. Every one of us is unique. We don't need to compare ourselves to others. Some people are gifted in certain things. Other people are gifted in other things. It doesn't matter. It does not value or raise the value or devalue your life because you're not good at the same thing as other people are. You have your own things to be good at. You have your own gifts. Embrace those gifts. Bring them to the world. Bring them out to the table. Come on out and play here. We need people who will make a difference in this world. And the reason we don't have more people who will make a difference in this world is because people are too busy denigrating themselves. Well, I really couldn't do that. I'm not educated enough. I'm not smart enough. I'm not intelligent enough. I don't care all the reasons why you can't do it. I only care about the reasons why you can. How hard can it be, folks? How hard can it be? You have to dawn on that attitude. Raise yourself up, stand tall, raise your head high. Understand that you can do anything you want if you believe in you. And if you can't believe in you, you know, then believe in me when I believe in you until your own self-belief can take over. So do that. All right, that's the end of my presentation. That's how you find meaning and purpose, and that's the difference between the two. Hope it's helped. All right, next up on the program is Dr. Vicki Hunter, and she is going to talk about practical numerology. We will get her situated on this, and then we'll get into, after she's up, we'll do our announcements and get into our Enspirit program. Dr. Vicki, welcome to the program again.
Hello, glad to be here. I almost didn't take my mute button off. You know, evolution, it just, when you pulled that card, it changed everything that I had in my mind to present in practical numerology because it got me, I was reminded of my evolution in numerology. And it is a process and the evolution. And I have periodically, over probably 45 years, gone back over everything that I've learned and added new stuff in and taken stuff out and add this in and take that out. And then I get new information and I have to go back and review it all again. And, you know, my first introduction actually to numerology was Caballerianism, which all I knew at that point is everybody was changing the spelling of their name to make a better vibration. So, I mean, and okay, if that's what people want to do. I'm going to talk about that in a minute, but understanding that numbers and math is everywhere. It's in nature. The journey took me to researching the Fibonacci sequence, the golden ratio, and how everything in nature has its own math. And my questions were always, well, who made up numbers? Who decided that? How did that come to be? And of course, a lot of questions I have in the evolution of numbers. I mean, I'll probably not live long enough to study it all, because it's really been a passion of mine, and especially with the tarot, because I found the correlation between numerology and the tarot and the numbers and letters of languages and how everything is kind of interconnected. Astrology is all based on math, how the planets are lined up and where your longitude and latitude, you know, where you were born, and how it impacts your energy or your soul's journey, so to speak. Now, I think we can take anything a little bit too far, of course, with anything. But whether you are someone who insists to study Plato or Pythagoras or the Caballerians, you know, I like to bring it all down to something very simple, and it's really don't take everything and anybody literal, because somebody did come up with a theory. Somebody came up with an idea. Basically, the understanding of our contemporary views of numerology, and this is why it's so important to really analyze and think about stuff, is based on the English language. And the English language is a relatively new language. And I think there's only one other dialect, I'm told, and I could stand to be corrected on this, but there's one dialect in China that is called a breathing language, meaning it changes. We can make stuff up. Root languages are not that way. Root languages are very, really quite simplified. And I don't mean simple, I mean simplified. It's not as complex. So we're always making stuff up as we go. Numerology is based on a collective agreement of an understanding of English. And of course, we can change spellings, we can change words, we can do whatever we want. So it's really important not to take everything literal. A basic Caballerian understanding of the numbers 1 to 9, which are the basic numbers, also go into what they call master numbers of 11, 22, 33, and so on, and higher vibrations of. And again, you can take this study really far. I don't know as it's never had any relevance to me, to be honest. I like to keep things simple. I like to keep deducting and reducing and bringing it down to something really simple that to me is more natural and again basic, and understanding that we are dealing with a limited science in that it only applies to English. And I'll explain in a minute, because names are very interesting. But you draw a little chart for yourself, 1 to 9 across, and you put the letters, the 26 letters of the English alphabet underneath. So you would have your A to I and J to R, and then S and Z, or Z, the American pronunciation, lands on the 8. So you would take your name and write the numbers, the correlating numbers underneath, add them up, reduce them to a single digit. Again, the Kabbalarian study is you can take the vowels and consonants and separate those. So you have a certain vibration of your so-called personality would resonate with the consonant, with the vowels, and so it kind of the spiritual, mental, physical aspects, and it can get really analytical. Again, I reduce it to really simple. So a name number, what is that basic imprint at birth? And so you have this natural numeric imprint. And again, I want to stress here too, it's an anglicized version. So this wouldn't necessarily apply in the same way if someone's birth name is of a different language. Now, this is, I literally read for thousands of people over these past decades, and I get the anglicized version of somebody's name, but I want to know their ethnicity too, what was your imprint at birth. Now, a lot of times we can't translate the letters of those alphabets, I can't, into a numeric system. So what I explain is that we're going to then take the anglicized impression. I'm going to translate that as best as I can, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you can take it to literal. So you get a basic name number, which is your impression at birth. People do change their names. When you change your name, you change the expression, but you never change the imprint. That's really important to understand about how we are mathematically intertwined in the universe and natural. I mean, you could call an oak tree by some other name, it's still an oak tree. So you could call anything by another name, and we've all agreed. Like you have a cup, we all agree it's called a cup. That doesn't change, except you could call it a vessel, you could call it a pot holder, a plant holder, but it doesn't change that in the collective consciousness, what we have connected in the imprint. So then you take, to take this a step further, your birthday. Everybody is born on a particular day in a year. And you add those numbers up and again, reduce it to its single number. So you have a name number, you have a birth path number, and then you add those two together and get what's called a destiny number. And basically a destiny number is, again, alleged to be what your soul wants to achieve or set out to accomplish in this lifetime. And very often it's one of those aha moments right before you check out and you say, oh, that's why I was here. But there's a really interesting pattern that goes on, this is the best part of what I want to share with you as we go. In my evolution, I love that. It just fits now so beautifully, doesn't it? In my evolution of learning about numbers and numerology, I studied many different authors, many different viewpoints and translations. It might be of some interest to know that the Freemasons, the Rosicrucians, and so on took a lot of their mathematical equations from Pythagoras. So it kind of that evolution there again in what they did. H. Spencer Lewis was one of the bigwigs of the Rosicrucian order. And he wrote a book called Cycles of Life, which is just so extraordinary. I think it's, in my view, his single best piece of work. But he broke down their cycles of sevens and how we all live sevens. Now, in math and in numerology, we live nines. So there's the cycles within the cycles. So he would say that there are 7 days in a week, but there's also 7 52-day cycles in a year. And it just corrects itself on a leap year, which is really interesting because there are exactly 7 cycles, equal cycles in a day. And you can continue to break that down in how these sevens play in. So that again is in some kind of an interesting mathematical equation that we all live. We also evolve in our life. We can see every 7 years we have a cycle change at 7, 14, 21, 28, so on. And when you reach the age of 49, you have completed 7 7-year cycles. After 49, 49 to 56, you get into what's called the 1 cycle again. It's like the new beginnings. And if you meet people who are turning 50, you know, it's like, wow, it's like the new day, which is quite extraordinary. So then the 56 to 63 is a 2 cycle. So there's all these other cycles that we have to take in, and I had to take into consideration about how does numerology work in its most sensible, practical way of how can I relate to that in my everyday life. But as we see also in numerology, there's 9-year cycles. Every 9 years, we go through another cycle change. If the name number, and I came up with this on my own about 10, 15 years ago. I lose track of time now, but 10, 15 years ago, it occurred to me that what happens when certain things, like in a biorhythm, line up, when your name number lines up with the year, and what happens when your birth path number lines up with the year. And what I mean by that is if your birthday is the 1st of January, and it's 2015, that's a 1 year. So you add up those numbers, 1, 1, 2, which is 4, and then you have 15, 5, and 5 is 10, it reduces to 1. So if you're January 1st, 2015, you're in a 1 cycle year, which is how we take these the practical numerology to another step. So somebody who's cycling in a 1 year, who would, let's say, be a name number of 1, I saw that and I observed it for a long time of how people internally go through changes. When their birth path number lines up with the year, so let's say somebody's birth path number is a 1, and they're in a 1 year, they're going to go through external changes, like their relationship with the outside world. But I also see another cycle, which is the destiny cycle. So let's say somebody is, to make it simple, a 1 and a 1, and their destiny number is a 2. When they come into that 2 year, so 1/1/2016 would be a 2 year for this someone, they're going to touch on their destiny, like their calling. Something spiritual awakens of an aha moment, or they get this feeling or this urge they want to do something important. So I watch all these patterns and these cycles. In putting the course together for IMHS, it was really exciting that it was challenging, but very exciting to be challenged to give a simplified version and some of the best that I've ever read or come across, and insert some of my own translations over the years as kind of a blueprint. And numbers telling the story. So if I can impart anything to you today, it would be what is your story based on the imprint of your life, and what is your story in the year you were born, the time you were born, the season that you're born, and what is it that you want to do? It's like you have this wonderful natural numeric story that intersects in the universe. Numbers in telling a story 1 to 9 is the simplest way I can say it. 1 is the beginning, 2 is the work, 3 is that third point of the triangle that likes to complete something. 4 likes stability, but it likes change. So it likes to be secure, but it likes changes. 5 is the center. 5 is that center number that wants to bust out and wants to adventure. It adventures forward. 6 then learns about commitment, family, socializing, obligations. 7, contrary to what people think about it being that mystical, magical, lucky number, 7 is a fundamental number. We live sevens, as I just explained to you a while ago from H. Spencer Lewis and his sevens. We live sevens. The mystery is to acknowledge what we're already living. So it's a detail number. 8 is the educator. Some say it's the power number, the authority, but it's really, can't have that without education. 9 is about enlightenment. It's about fulfillment, idealism. When you are adding up all your numbers for your name, your year, and so on, take out anything that adds up to a 9 and add what's left and you'll get the same thing. The beauty of 9 is that it can be invisible. It's a transformative number that takes you right back to the 1 again. So that's an interesting thing about math. Cancel out anything that adds up to a 9, add up the rest and get your single digit. It's the short way to do it instead of adding up everything and then keep breaking it down. So it's a beauty of 9. So understand that numerology tells a really wonderful story, and I love it for that. But again, if it has to mean something to me, so in the practical sense of it, is it tells me a little bit about my own journey, what I can look at, how the cycles go, the biorhythms of it, and where I fit. So don't fight it, work with it. So there's the strength in those numbers, not necessarily the weaknesses. Of course, there's equal and opposite in all things, but when you know that challenge ahead of time, then you can work with it. So if anybody's interested to take the course, of course, I'm always happy to have new students, but I hope that you've learned something from this, and as you pursue your own adventures into numerology, remember somebody wrote that stuff, and you might have a different interpretation. Just keep to the story of numbers.
Thank you, Dr. Hunter. It was interesting as always, and again, if you're interested in numerology, you can take that course, Practical Numerology, at IMHS as part of the degree program, or you can take it as a standalone course at ICHSworld.org if you just want that course by itself. So Dr. Hunter will remain with us for a little bit here, and we're going to get into our the remaining part of our program. Just wanted to announce that we appreciate donations from folks who've made those, and every little bit helps, so we appreciate that. Also, if you are an IMHS student and you have earned your bachelor's, master's, or doctoral degree, we have our graduation, online graduation ceremony coming up on May 2nd. It's the first Saturday in May. So if you haven't registered for that, you want to register, you can go to the IMHS Student Center and do that. There's more details there. It's going to be a video broadcast, but you won't be on camera. I will, and then Dr. Hunter will. So we'll read names, and we'll have a couple of short talks prior. The whole thing will last between 30 and 60 minutes, just depending. So this is an opportunity to join in and celebrate. And if you haven't completed your bachelor's, master's, or doctorate degrees, or you've already graduated last year, why not join us and be part of it? And that way you can include your energy in the whole thing too. Next week's program, my topic will be getting your message across, how to speak assertively. That's a crucial skill that we all need in life, how to be assertive, how to not be aggressive, not be passive, how to say no, when we don't want to do something, those kinds of things. So that will be my topic. Plus, we have Dr. Norman Wilson returning next week. He will be speaking on shamanism, what it's all about, based on his book. So we'll look forward to having him back. And that brings us to the Enspirit Open Forum. So we've got about 15 minutes remaining in the program. We'll start it off with a short meditation. So if you'd like to get yourself into a relaxed position, you can close your eyes if you wish, but you can't go cross-eyed. That was a joke. All right, take a deep breath, all in through your nose. Hold on to it to the mental count of 3 and just release it. And you know, as you release that breath, just feel your body relaxing. It feels so good to relax. Take another deep breath in through your nose, realizing that when you release it, you're releasing stress, negativity, trouble. And when you breathe in positiveness, bright lights, good things. I want you to imagine that beautiful, bright light, ball of light just above your head, representing your soul light, representing your higher self. And as you see it in your mind's eye, you can realize that it's got tentacles, sparks, lightning, if you will, reaching out and connecting with the entire universe, the matrix of everything. We are all connected, and that energy is going out and coming in. And that beautiful ball of light is who you are, and it is beautiful. I want you to imagine bringing that ball of light right down on into the center of your body. See it in your mind. It's all right. Take another deep breath as you bring it on into your body and understand that this light is nurturing, it's healing, it's invigorating. It de-stresses, it nurtures. Feel it inside you, in your mind's eye. See that beautiful bright white light filling up your entire body. And everything it touches benefits from it. It feels so good to just feel who you are. I want you to see that light going to any particular area of your body that needs a little healing, needs a little uplift. Take some of it, route it to your shoulders to de-stress, and just feel the goodness that is within you and the power that is within you. As you take another deep breath, breathing in all the good and releasing all the bad, you understand that you deserve everything in life that's good, the same as everyone else, no more, no less. It is your birthright, and it is up to you to claim that as your destiny. It is up to you to discover what brings significant meaning to your life, and that answer is within you. It's always there. You just have to find it if you haven't already. And to help you, call on your soul light. Understand that more information about what really brings meaning to your life will be revealed to you by your higher self in the hours, the moments, the days to come. You'll see it. You'll recognize it. And you'll appreciate it. And then you'll know what to do on a day-to-day basis to bring meaning, more meaning into your life. Take some of that beautiful, powerful energy that you have and take just a second and send it to someone in need. And if you can't think of anyone in need, send it to the world. Send it to the planet so that we as a species may evolve and heal and be better. In just a second, I'm going to count to 3, and as I do, you become more and more awake, more aware, and then we will do our in-spirit open forum. 1, feeling very, very good. Another deep breath. 2, feeling very refreshed. And 3, de-stressed. You are perfect the way you are. Eyes open wide, coming to full awareness, understanding that you can get anything you want. You just got to claim it. All right, so if you are watching this broadcast and you live and you would like a card to be drawn for you, an oracle card, just type it in the chat room, your name, and we'll do that. We'll pull a card. I've already shuffled it the first time, so if Dr. Vicki Hunter will be on. Yes,
I'm
we
back.
got you. You back.
That was a great meditation, by the way. You know, before we get started, can I read evolution and what it says in
evolution was our theme card.
You know, and I would just like to remind everybody that the effort, this beautiful deck, because I love this deck, it is the entire body of work of Dr. Kelley and ICMH and the principles of belief. Everything in here, it's based on that work, and it's just a really good stuff. So evolution, you know, at the beginning of every program we pick a card. Today's theme: evolution is the driving force of all life. Change is always afoot. Be aware and participate in the evolution of present energies that change situations. Resistance to change is born from fear of losing control. Remember that. I'm going to say it again. Resistance to change is born from the fear of losing control. Resistance to change prolongs discomfort. But fear not, personal growth and enlightenment are sure to result in the wake of your own evolution and that of life around you. Thus, entropy is lowered. So I just think that's a great one. Our first name up today is Dr. Angie. She asked if she could have a card drawn for her.
Okay, we will certainly do that for Dr. Angie Kittle. And I'm just looking for it. It's right here. It's number 27, which is gains. Gains. Now that could be in the positive or whatever. You want to go ahead and comment on it, Dr.
Well,
Hunter?
every choice and action has a trade-off and result. What are you willing to trade for this result and gain? A secondary gain has a price for getting what we want, and the price is denial of the truth of a situation or behavior. This may be a time to assess if something needs to be traded for improved benefits. Healthy decisions are sure to bring about positive results and satisfying gains. You know, I think the message here is not necessarily just to trade off, but trade up. And we constantly go through this. This is not just I'm going to fix this and go on to something else. We're always trading. So what are the gains of where you are? What are the gains of making a change? So I think it's an assessment, and I think that's a really good way to see it. So
that's good. You know, anytime you want something, whether you want to buy something, whether you want to get something, there's always a trade-off. And you have to ask, what are you willing to trade for that? If you have a goal, what are you willing to trade for that? And of course, the idea is to trade up rather than down.
Yes.
So do we have any other?
Yes, actually, we've got a few. We've got a couple of special guests here today, too.
Oh,
it's
we do?
exciting.
Cool.
Forrest would like a card, please.
I'm sorry, the name
A message.
again?
Forrest is his first name.
Forrest. Hey, Forrest. Okay.
Yep.
I will pick a card for Forrest, which is right here. It's the top one. Open-mindedness, number 38.
Ah, all right,
Number 38.
Forrest. Got my little book. An open mind is sensible and grounded. An open mind avoids preconceived notions, especially ones that are based on a personal agenda, a pet theory, or a preferred belief. An open mind is not gullible or credulous. Rather, an open mind thinks critically and searches for additional possibilities. It absorbs knowledge and searches for credible solutions and conclusions. So it's just asking of you at this time to open your mind a little bit and look at maybe a couple of belief systems that need a little tweaking.
And you know, these cards have a different meaning to every person that gets it. And if anyone here in the live group
Yes.
wants one, just throw something at me. All right, not hard though. Okay, the next one.
Lorena.
Okay, Marina.
This is for Lorena.
All right. Card is right here. It is number 22. Think for yourself. Always a good thing to do. Think for yourself. And I'll think for
Well,
you
know,
too. No, just think for yourself.
Well, a better understanding of one's own mind brings one closer to honesty and self-responsibility. Thinking for yourself prevents being swayed by the potentially unhealthy thinking of others, as well as outside popular beliefs simply for popularity's sake. If you don't think for yourself, you sacrifice your identity for someone else's identity. This may be a time to exercise critical thinking in order to best determine and listen to your own truth. So I suspect there's just a good message in there for you, Lorena, about deciphering what are your own beliefs and what are the beliefs of others that you've taken on. And we've all done it, we all do it, and it's just a good time to check in with that. So
Good.
I hope that she can feel that fits. We have quite a list here. I'm told that Michael Kelley would like a card, but we're going to leave him for a later time and get through these people. And, you know, we have a special guest on here. I am Dr. David Blender has joined us, and he would like a card, please.
David, how are you?
Yes, nice to see you, David. That's great.
Okay,
A card for Dr. David.
it's this one. It's number 34. Take or release ownership is the card.
Oh.
Rick, were you raising your hand? Okay. Just didn't want to
Okay,
ignore you.
ownership and entitlement are not the same. Ownership is taking responsibility with a healthy attitude. Entitlement is expecting more than what's earned. Further, codependence is taking an unhealthy ownership for other people's problems and feelings. This may be a time to reflect on owning only what is yours and releasing the rest. You know, I think that can apply to so many things, especially in the kind of work that we do. Sometimes we do get involved in things and we have to check in and say, okay, you know, this isn't my stuff, it's somebody else's stuff. And, you know, there's just so many different kinds of applications to that message. So I hope that, you know, that makes sense to Dr. David at this particular time.
Great.
So, you know.
Okay, next one.
Next one. Jacinta is here. She would like one card,
Jacinta.
please.
She spoke in
Yes.
the program here a couple of, three weeks ago or whatever it was.
She did so. And it
All right.
was awesome.
Okay. It's number 2, esteem and validation in the self-acceptance suit. It's esteem and
Self-esteem,
validation.
self-esteem is self-worth based on internal expectations and validations. Not to be confused with them-esteem, which is self-worth based on external expectations and validation. That is what other people think, right? High self-confidence is not the same as high self-esteem. Self-validation, is the highest regard you give to yourself, fully experiencing the truths on your own path. So it's an internal self-certainty. So I think that, you know, again, sometimes we just check in with ourselves. You know, am I expecting something external to happen here to make me feel good, or do I just need to check in and say that doesn't matter because I know who I am? I think that might be applying.
That was my same
So-
thought. My same thought was that in this particular instance, look for something that you wouldn't normally assign to self-esteem, but yet it could be playing a role. All right.
I think she just said in the chat that she said, "Oh my God," she said, "Why does that card keep showing up?" You know, it keeps.
Yeah.
It is really interesting how there's this repeated kind of cosmic message, and it comes in many ways, and that's why I love these cards too.
It's all a
You know.
conspiracy. We have this card marked just to pull up for you to give you make you paranoid. Not really though. All right, next one or last one.
I'm quickly, unless Michael can see something there that I can't see, I'm multitasking here.
Could you say it louder? Jenny Cupo. Okay.
I'm
Jenny.
so sorry, Jenny.
Oh,
Yes.
I lost a card. I'm going with it. Okay.
Okay.
It's number 6. A card fell off. I have to go with it. It's
Okay.
better than picking it up. It's number 6. Entropy. Entropy, and entropy is the tendency of things to go back to the dust, but it has a lot of meaning. So I'll let you read it.
That's in the wild card section.
Yes, it is a wild card. Number 6. I'm sorry.
Yes.
Number 6
So
should have said that.
Within the cycle of life, there are useful energies, which is low entropy, that can wane to uselessness, which is high entropy. Their energy stands still and their entropy increases. They no longer give value to the evolution of life. This can include an attitude or behavior that requires adjustment to once again take a new step in renewal and rebirth, thus lowering one's entropy. When one seeks to be part of the solution rather than part of the problem, that one lowers his or her personal entropy, and the world's a better place. So I think that sometimes we do just have to separate ourselves a little bit from others and get back into our own vibe. And I think that's kind of the message in a way.
It is. And entropy, it's not all that hard to understand. It can sound like it's hard to understand, but if you buy a product that lasts a long time, it's got low entropy. If you buy a product that's just like a single use, then it's got a high entropy. In other words, entropy is the tendency for things to go back to the dust. To put it simply, it's the things go back to the dust, things rust, things degrade. And so when you think of entropy, what can you apply it to? There's something in your life that maybe has high or low entropy, something that needs to be adjusted. So is that the end of our
Dr.
requests?
Angie she's made a brilliant comment here. These cards have a way of showing up for a reason. They have yet to not be spot on with me. Thank you for their validation, Dr. Angie. That's great.
All right.
It speaks to the higher consciousness, right?
And of course, we understand that you can pull any one of these cards and it's going to apply somewhere. That's just the nature of it. But it's interesting when you get using these, it's interesting how certain cards will keep coming back up and directing you. I didn't expect that when we created these decks. And I use it and I'm thinking, wow, this thing's got an energy of its own, which I didn't expect. So it's kind of cool. And just a quick mention, I heard from the printing company today, and our decks are hopefully will arrive next week. So if you've been waiting for them to get back in stock, they should be here next week, and I'll announce when they're in. So we're a couple of minutes over, so we're going to go ahead and conclude things. We really appreciate everyone's time tonight. Appreciate everyone joining us. And if you're on the broadcast archive, then we appreciate you viewing that as well. Until next week, listen, think, grow, learn, and live. Good night.